We're joined now by Will Faudree, and Will, you've had quite an exciting season thus far leading up. Things seem to be going very well. We hope that will continue this weekend, and you're off to a great start here. So talk a little bit just about your test yesterday.
I was very, very happy with him yesterday. He's a funny horse. You got to time things just right. He's typically a very lazy horse, very unimpressed with his surroundings and his atmosphere, which in some senses is really rewarding. You know, it's really nice to walk down the ramp into the main arena and have the same horse when you get in there that you left in the warm-up, and that it's not always the case when they're, you know, proper 4-star fit. And so he's been like that since day one. I've had him for, you know, a long time. He's 14 this year, and I got him when he was 7. I was really happy with his test. I thought I made one mistake, and it was totally mine. I was really trying to march him in the walk to the halt prior to the rein back, and just didn't prepare enough, and so lost some points on that halt and rein back. But he climbed his way back up in the canter work, and it's always tough going on the first day because, you know, it's human nature. You want to hold back, and you understand that from a judge's perspective. But he was right on the canter work, and I had really fantastic changes, and he was good. I was happy with him.
Well, horses here and riders, there's a lot of newbies in both instances. Obviously, Paolo, a long-time partner of yours. But for these riders and horses who will be making their first trip around the course, how do you think that whether it goes great or not so great, it affects them after and maybe helps their maturity?
I mean, any event you do, you know, experience is what you get right after you need it. And so that's the beautiful thing about our sport, is that it's a sport that we can do for a number of years. And you have, the horses and riders that finish tomorrow, whether you finish at the top of the pack or at the bottom of the pack, you finish with more experience than you left the start box with. And so for the first timers going out there, I mean, I did my first 4-star 10 years ago here on Antigua, and
Getting old.
yeah, I know. I used to be one of the young ones. But you pull up a better rider and a better horseman, and it's learning and feeling, and that's the beautiful thing about the sport, is that you'll see, I think if you ask any of these guys, you know, Fox Pitt or Nicholson or Phillip, you know, they're going to pull up tomorrow and have something to offer that they didn't have prior to leaving the start box. And you always learn, you're always changing, and the sport is forever evolving, and you're either with the times or you're not, so you've got to continue to grow and evolve with it. So it's really listening to your horse and feeling what you have out there.
For people like yourself and William and Philip and people that you're referencing, with those first-time horses, yourself having developed multiple 4-star horses now, what do you think is key when they leave that start box at a 4-star for the first time from a rider's perspective in order to help them kind of get around? Because it's a lot longer than they're used to, even if they've been successful at the 3-star level.
It is a lot longer, and the jumps, you know, take a toll on them. And so I think the biggest thing is leaving the start box and really listening and feeling to what your horse is saying, and then reacting to what they do. I mean, last year I had Andromac here, and it was her first 4-star, and she left the start box really, really good. And you know, I had a glitch at the coffin early on, and after that, it wasn't about running her off her feet, but it was about better educating her for the future, because it was a green mistake, and you have to be aware of those. And they're children, you know, jumping into the big leagues here, and so it's just really feeling your horse and listening to what they're telling you, making sure they're taking a deep breath, making sure that you know, they have as much adrenaline as we do. So it's, you know, you've got to be the teacher in a sense when you go out there to say, okay, take a deep breath, you know, give them time, you know, don't put the combination or don't put the fence before what you're feeling from your horse. Make sure your horse is telling you what they're feeling before you present them with the question.
Your first time here, were you nervous? Did you not know any better? Were you excited? I mean, there's so many emotions in this huge atmosphere. So kind of what was your take on that first time coming to Rolex as a rider?
The first time I came to Rolex as a rider, it was the first 4-star I had ever seen. I'd never been to a 4-star before. And I actually, to be honest, thought the cross country was a joke when I watched it. Like, I didn't think they were actually going to make us go out and do that. And then the more times, the first time you walk the course, it looks impossible, and by the 6th and 7th time you walk it, you're starting to think that it's doable. And every combination out there, I think you ask anybody, every combination, you look at each combination, and it's doable, and it's, yeah, I can do that. My horse has seen that type of question. I've ridden that type of question. But what makes it hard is on the day, is putting it all together, and you have all of these different combinations out there, but it's making sure it's a cumulative effect. You've got to make sure that when your horse leaves one jump, they're prepared for the next. It's what can I do at this combination that's going to better educate them and better prepare them for the next combination. And because if you have a rough go, it might not catch up with you at the next one, but it could catch up with you later on. So it's if you have that lucky moment, it's making sure you drop the rein and pat them and tell them how good they are, and be spot on with the next one, because they can't keep doing it for you. And so,
with a horse like Pello that you've had for so long, coming here to Kentucky, obviously you guys know each other so well. And Derek has put forth a tricky course, very long course for tomorrow. And just any complexes that stand out to you, ones that you think are going to be particularly hard. Derek's kind of known for maybe when you walk certain things, you think, oh, this one's not so bad. I think maybe the Coffin last year for many riders, you said, oh, it won't be so bad. And then the first 6 horses are walking home. You're thinking, maybe it is so bad.
I think, again, it's the cumulative effect, and Derek does a very good job. And each combination, like I said, you look at each combination, and it looks doable and it looks rideable, and there's options within the combinations. Like this year, the first combination on course at fence 6, the brush hollow, I think you'll see a lot of horses go through there tomorrow. It walks in a 2-stride. I think you'll see some go in 2. I think you'll see some go in 3. You go on to the next combination at the water, and it walks in a 4 to a 3. I think you'll see some do 5 and 3. I think you'll see some do 4 and 4. But again, it's a cumulative effect. The Coffin this year, I have to say I like it a lot better than I did last year. It's still a very big jump on the way in, and then you have an option on the way out, whether the left-handed corner or the right-handed corner. My plan right now is to do the left-handed corner, and it walks, if you just walk it normal striding, if you just take your steps, it's going to walk in a proper 3.5. And so it's how you react to how the horse jumps the ditch. If they jump into that Coffin, take a stride, and really bound over the ditch, I think you'll see some horses keep going in the 3. That's not going to be my plan. I'm going to jump in, let them jump across the ditch, and because the ground comes up away on the other side of the ditch, their first stride isn't going to be a 12-foot stride. So it's going to be more of, your 8-9-foot stride. So I'm going to try to hold that 9-foot stride and put in a nice tidy 4 strides to the corner, mainly because the next combination is the sunken road. And the sunken road is a bounce in, 2 strides to a bounce out. And the 2 down in the bottom of the road is very tight. So I think if you have that wonderful feeling ride through the Coffin where you jump in and you do the 1 stride across the ditch and then really forward in the 3, and then all of a sudden you have to throttle them back, you're going to have to take them back to almost nothing to get them to get the sunken road done. So that's what I mean about the cumulative effect, is that you've got to, each combination, each jump has an effect on the next jump. So you have to put it all in perspective so that you have horse left at the end of it.
And then just kind of the going out there with the crowds and everything like that for newcomers, yourself never having been to a 4-star, even to see it before you came to ride. How do you kind of keep focused the whole way around? 11.5 minutes is a mental game, certainly.
It's definitely a mental game. It's one of those, for me, it's one of those feelings, if you don't really lose focus when you're out there. I take it back to, it's 1 jump at a time. Even if there's just a bounce stride between there, you've got to get to the first jump before you can get to the next jump. So it's just making sure you take those deep breaths, and each of these combinations is as easy as you present it to the horse. So as long as I do my homework and my preparations to present the question or to present the jump in the best way I can to the horse, then I've done my job. And if I can do that and gallop away, I'll be happy.
Are there particular combinations on tomorrow's course that you think are going to ride really tough?
I think all of them. I'm going to go back. I'll say it again. It's the cumulative effect. I mean, every combination out there has its factors, has its severity, and the Coffin always rides tough here. The Sunken Road rides tough. Those double corners down there, that's a hard line because you've got to be very bold and that's right at the 6-minute mark. You've got to jump that first corner and really get up there in the 4 strides. If you decide to do the 5, you've got to decide right when you hit the ground, you land, and the horse takes that first stride so you can make the 5 happen. But you've got to be right on the quarry this year.
Yeah, how about how he set up that V element?
Up at the top, when you jump in, you look at it and you think, oh my God, this is a very tough angle. And when you get down there and the line presents itself to you, it's a nice 5 to a nice 3. But again, that's rider responsibility about having the right canter. And one thing that's really hard about that combination is at the very end of the course, it's right at 6.5 minutes. And that's when the horses start to feel a little bit tired. And you just run up this long hill, and that's one thing for the first-timers and the lesser experienced riders is you'll see when you get up to the top of the hill, you got to take the throttle off. You got to let the horse take a deep breath. Because if you're 10, 15 seconds down at the quarry, you can make that back up because your next 2 minutes, there's basically 3 jumping efforts. So you can make up 10 to 12 seconds in the next minute. So it's just taking the time. When you get up to the top of the hill, let the horse take a deep breath, let them get their second wind, prepare them, put them on their feet, jump into the quarry, the nice 5 down, press them up in the 3 out, and give them a good kick after that. And then I'm going to take all the pressure off the horse, let him run down the hill as fast as he wants to run down it, and so that when he levels off at the bottom and he starts to go back up, my hope is that I feel him go because then I know that I'm going to have something when I get to the water and put him on his feet and say, all right, now jump into this. So
you had a lot of success as a young rider yourself, and so many riders that are younger coming up through the ranks looking up to these riders here, hoping to be here one day. Was there kind of a turning point in your career or something that really helped you along the way to get where you are now?
The biggest turning point in my career was a horse called Antigua. We all have that one horse, and I was very, very lucky growing up. I grew up in Texas, and was very lucky, and my parents really supported the horses, and I had a lot of off-the-track thoroughbreds, and had great instruction there with Bobo Rowe and Kathleen Zenz and Carolyn and Harley Stimmel. I had great instruction growing up, and not whether it be predominantly eventing instruction or dressage or whatever, but just horsemanship instruction. And when I moved to the East Coast after high school, I had the opportunity. I was working for Philip, and Philip knew of this horse, and I got Antigua, and he was really the horse that he was the first horse I ever had that could really teach me something. And I was very lucky in my career to have that horse. That horse took me to my first 4-star. He took me to my first team. He took me to Badminton, to Burley, to the World Games, and that was a horse. He is a horse that he still manages my farm. So.
Well, you've, as you're saying, represented the U.S. so many times now and had so much success, but along the way there have been, as in eventing, peaks and valleys in your career, and in 2001 you had an accident that kind of changed things for you for a while. It
was actually before 2001, it was 99.
Okay, 99.
99, yeah, I had a head injury in 99. And
someone found you out in the field at
out
the farm?
In the field, yeah, a guy walking. I was doing dressage, so wear your helmets. We don't really know what happened. Nobody was around. They found me. I was knocked out for several days and had bruised the cerebellum, so I lost all my motor skills. So I had to go through a pretty extensive rehab to get going again, and moved up to intermediate in the spring did my first intermediate in the spring of 2000. I think I was still recovering from a head injury that I thought I could take that horse around an intermediate track, but I did, and the rest is history. So, no, it's been we've all had that's I think this sport it's the most humbling sport, because you can be on cloud nine one day, and you can go win a gold medal at an event, and the next morning you're cleaning the stall out. So and that's the true champions. The one who. My mom used to tell me, she was a big-time swimmer, and she used to always say that her swim coach in school said he could always tell the true champions by the ones that put the soap back in the soap dish after they took a shower, because it's those details, those fine little details, that make the champions and make the effort, put forward the effort to cross your T's and dot your I's.
There's so many people, even at the lower levels, or they've experienced horses with injuries or things like that, just setbacks in their career. And so were there any moments, like in everything that you've gone through and overcome, and you're so successful, little things that kind of helped you along the way, maybe when it wasn't your day, or just advice for people when things aren't going how you want it to go? We all want to be perfect all the time, but it's just not the reality of our sport.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really know what advice I would say. Yeah, everybody, we all have good days, we all have bad days. Horses have good days, horses have bad days. It's accepting those. I guess the big, if I had one phrase to say for advice, it would be, if you'd learn to accept rather than expect, you'd have fewer disappointments, because you have to accept what you have on the day and produce what you have on that day to the best thing you can. And if it's not your day, it's not your day. And
you just hope it's your day at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's reactions within that if it's not going right, what am I going to change to make this? It's looking at things realistically, and which is hard to do, when you have your adrenaline and your emotion and everything's looking up. You got to be able to take a step back and take a deep breath and look at the situation and feel the situation and go on from there, and know your horse, and know what they do, know how they feel, know what they're thinking, being able to finish each other's sentences.
And being part of that knowing your horse kind of mentality, the rules have changed a little bit. I know that you always have a great opinion on things like this, so we're going to chat a little bit about all the rule changes a little. But
Me opinionated?
No. But with now how riders can go get a horse from Europe or somewhere across the world that maybe qualified and they're qualified, having to requalify as a pair, what is your take on that? Do you think that's beneficial for them?
I think it's bullshit, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm A-listed, and I'm really excited that I'm A-listed. But for somebody like Blythe Tate,
sure.
who is that has to go, or you look at somebody like Marilyn Little, who is a fantastic rider, and she's got the ride on Mr. Medicott.
Right.
She's had to take him back and do a 2-star, and let's look at the welfare of the horse here.
Right.
I understand, let's develop a partnership, and let's work with the welfare and what is going to better the sport. And I think that's what the FEI is after, that's what we're all after.
Sure.
I understand the classification, but there has to be reality within that classification. You look at somebody like Becky Holder, who's one of the best riders in this country, and she has always done her career one horse at a time.
Right.
She had Highland Hogan, then she had Courageous Comment, now she's got Can't Fire Me. She hasn't had the numbers to give her a classification, where if she went over and bought, a horse for the Worlds next year, she'd have to take it back to a 2-star. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And so
too many miles.
Too many miles, and wear and tear, and the amount of that. I understand the classification, so I guess I shouldn't say that I think it's not total bullshit, but it's pretty close to it. I think that they have to. I understand the qualifications, the classifications. They have to have. They got to think a little bit more realistic in there. Yes, you need to be qualified. Yes, you need to have partnership. Yes, you need to understand what's happening underneath you. But you also got to take a look at somebody's career,
right?
And look at the different. I'm not a Philip Dutton or a Boyd Martin. I'm not somebody, and I know that. I can't go and ride 6 or 7 horses at an event and do it properly. my hats off to those guys. They're incredible. I can't do that. And, I've been lucky in my career. I can do 3 or 4 or 5. I was very lucky in my career, with Antigua and Paulo and Andromaque and the horses that I've had that have given me the qualification numbers that I've needed to have. And, I've been really fortunate with the soundness and the maintenance. And, Antigua missed 1 season in the 9 seasons I did with him. And so, yes, his qualifications still lasted because I was able to get there, but that's not the case.
Right.
That's a far-fetched dream for a lot of people because, horses get hurt. Look at poor Jenny Brannigan this weekend. I mean, it's just, unfortunately, that's the sport. And we always as riders, we always put the welfare first. And, hats off to Jenny, and my heart breaks for her because it's so hard to get here. But back to the FEI qualification, now she's behind it again. Now she's got to wait another season to get one up there. So that's where I think the FEI, I understand the classification, but they need to be more realistic within it.
And do you think kind of just that along those same lines, riders are making choices based more on classification stuff now instead of the betterment of their horses? Or, I mean, you always want to put your horse first, but decisions are kind of being altered because you have to get, I need to get this many of these. And
yeah, I mean, you do have people that, I've got to do this or I've got to go there. And the other thing, too, that I think that a lot of people around the world don't take into effect is we don't have that many CIC 3-stars over here. There's 2 in the spring, 3, Jersey Fresh, the Fork, and Red Hills. And for me to get down to Red Hills, that's 9 hours.
Yeah.
So it's not like England.
You East Coasters just complain about the
no.
drive.
Well,
average drive 12 hours. Well, it's no problem.
Exactly, but
just pack it up and drive down.
The West Coast, I mean, same thing. Exactly. You guys, we travel so far, so there has to be, and the FEI did do a good job, and they did some target events this year, which has helped a lot of people out tremendously, and that was really good. But I think that you just have to do what's right for your horse. You have to do what's right to better their careers. And then all of a sudden they throw this curveball in there. Well, now you have to have X number of events to be able to go to where you want to go.
Sure.
And you know what? Where are we going with this? Maybe instead of doing the numbers of qualifications that you have to have, maybe make the qualifications more difficult to get. Like, you're not allowed to have a 20 at a CIC, or you've got to score a 65 or better in the dressage instead of a 75. Maybe they do it that way. That will force people to, not force people, but maybe demand a higher level of excellence within the competition rather than a higher number of events you go to. Maybe there's other ways to think about it. I don't know, but that's my thought on it.
All right, well, Will's a really fun guy, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with you now. You know so many of the top riders so well, Will. So I'm just going to ask you, I'll throw a name out there, and you can tell me if they weren't a professional equestrian, what you think that they'd be good at as a second career.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we'll just go basic. Becky Holder. You know her really well, so this is the easy first one.
A high school teacher.
See that.
I could just see her being like that great. She's such a great instructor,
kind.
and people gravitate to her, and Becky's a great friend. So.
Okay, Allison Springer.
Porn star. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Allison will laugh at that. Allison's a very good friend of mine. Actually, downhill skier. She'd
can see that.
be Peekaboo Street.
All right.
Lindsey Vaughn.
How about Sinead Halpin?
That one's tough. She would be the CEO of some company. The only image I can think of is you saw the movie The Stepford Wives with Nicole Kidman. The very opening scene of Nicole Kidman in the black suit and the short hair, and that would be Sinead. Just Or Hillary Clinton. I could see her
the
as Secretary
country.
of State, run the country.
With Meg there helping
Yeah.
her out.
Yeah.
And then how about Boyd?
What would Boyd be? He would be some schmoozer somewhere. Telling people.
A golf pro, maybe?
No, he doesn't dress well enough to be a golf pro, even though he won the friggin' best dress. Thank you, Silva. What would Boyd be?
Stumps you?
That one does stump me. I don't know what he'd be.
What about Philip? Try to stump you again.
Philip. To me, Philip's like a dad. Like he's.
The father of
Yeah,
everything.
he'd be a coach of something.
Right.
Coach of life. Coach of. That's what Philip would be.
And what would you be?
Hopefully, an actor of some sort.
All right.
Clearly not musical, but no, I always, I would have tried that route.
Entertain people in some way or another.
A stand-up comedian, I'd try.
All right. And just your favorite thing about being here in Kentucky? Kind of, you've been here a few times and done so well in the past. And just what do you look most forward to about this week?
Finishing it.
Yeah. The finish flags?
Yeah. That's
every phase?
Yeah, that's what I look most forward to is, it's one of these things where you work so hard to get here and you work and it's that feeling and that emotion of, I'm going to go to Rolex and this is going to be great. And then you get here and it's just like, now I got to go out and do it. And so, I look forward to the time, to the course, to the time with my, that's the beautiful thing about this sport is the camaraderie. There's not one person in the stable area that I'm not friends with. And just the time with friends and knowing that regardless of how your day goes, we've all been there.
Right.
Whatever.
And this group is a lot smaller group than there's been in the past here in Kentucky, a smaller field. So it seems like everyone, as you're saying, knows each other, but particularly this year, it's a younger group and kind of just a lot of friends over there.
Yeah, we're all friends. Everybody has experienced something that everybody is going to experience tomorrow. We've all been from each side of the spectrum, so it's just we all want the best for the horses. We all want the best for each other, and go out and do what we can do.
And other than your own, if you could ride one horse who's here in Kentucky, which horse would you want to ride?
That's entered here right now.
Yeah. We'll give you a foreign and an American. You have to choose one of each.
Oh, well, the foreign would be Nicholson's Quimbo.
Okay.
I love that horse. I saw that horse go a lot last summer. I just think it's really, really special. I love Lynn Szymanski's horse, Donner.
Yep.
I love Demeter, Maryland's horse. I'm a big mare fan. I love mares. And so Demeter would be high on my list. She looks so cool and so fun. And yeah, so.
And the one you're on.
And the one I'm on. I'm really looking forward to this week. I've got a great partnership with this horse. And I've no expectations for him.
Sure.
He was never a horse that Mark Phillips in the previous years was very high on.
Right.
Because he's not a super fast cross-country horse, although he's been very, very fast this year. And I've changed my fitness up, so I'm hoping to be able to give the time a go tomorrow.
Yep.
But I am very excited about him. He's a lot of fun, and we're just, it's like an old glove.
Two old friends.
Yeah.
This summer, being overseas so much, and do you have a kind of a favorite memory from the summer?
From this past summer?
Yeah.
This past summer sucked for me. It was not fun.
But just being over there, you guys are all kind of, thrown into the same environment for a long time and training together and just something with all your friends like you're saying.
Well, I shouldn't say the whole summer didn't suck. I mean, we had
You had zero fun.
We had great fun and great time, and the 5 guys, Philip, Dutton, Boyd, Martin, Will Coleman, Clark Montgomery, and myself, we all lived together, and we had a great time.
Oh my gosh.
that was so fun, and it was like a fraternity.
That's another
really.
story.
Yeah, that is another story. That was a lot of fun. The mare I had last summer over there in preparations for the games, Andrew Mack.
Right.
She's just one of the coolest horses I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And I have to say, my ride at Barbary Castle, at the final outing, Barbary Castle, that cross-country ride was one of the top rides of my life. Really, it was so fun to ride around that. And it was just a CIC 3-star, but it was, I'll never forget that round. It goes right up there with Antigua at Burley in 07 and Babington in 05 and Kentucky in 06 here on Brad. Those cross-country rounds I'll never forget. And so that part of the summer was really fun. We trained at a great place. Deb, Eddie Stibbies, Eddie and Deb, they had a phenomenal facility. But it's a hard summer. It's always hard to be away from home, especially when you're over there with one horse. The summer before 2011, I had taken 4 horses over there, and I've got the most amazing sponsor and owner, Jennifer Mosing, who owns a lot of my top horses, owns Paulo here and Andrew Mack. And that was a really fun summer in 2011. It was very educational. I took Paulo and Andrew Mack to Lemulin, and Andrew Mack didn't have a slight injury before Burley, so she was unable to do that, but Paulo did go on to do Blenheim, and that was a great summer, very educational, and it's always nice to get home back to American food and my dogs. So.
Well, we hope that this weekend is another great outing for you, and that tomorrow you're able to enjoy yourself and add that one to the list. And if you have other questions for these riders, you can go hashtag us on Twitter at hashtag RK3DE interview. And we will definitely be catching up with Will again this weekend, chatting with him some more after hopefully what's a great cross country tomorrow.
Fingers crossed.
That's right. So anything else you want to know about these riders, you can let us know those questions, and we'll do our best to get them answered. And Will, it's always so fun chatting with you. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to stay here with us on the couch.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.